The silence cuts through everything, that bottomless quiet after the engine dies. Your heart pounds so loud you think the whole world can hear it. You count. 1, 2, 3. Somewhere out there, death is falling. You pray it's not coming for you. This terror haunted millions across Britain. Night after night, day after day, the doodlebug ruled their lives with fear. But something extraordinary began happening in late summer 1944. These unstoppable weapons of vengeance started dying in mid-air. Brilliant fireballs bloomed against empty sky. German commanders watched their wonder weapons vanish before reaching targets. Panic spread through the German high command. Manufacturing defects, they claimed, sabotage by slave workers, anything to explain the impossible. They searched everywhere except the right place. They never imagined their enemy possessed technology so advanced that German scientists had sworn it could never exist. This is how American factories came to produce tens of thousands of miracle devices daily. How German intelligence remained catastrophically blind to one of the war's deadliest secrets. The world watched and waited in June 1944. Allied boots had touched French sand at Normandy. Liberation was beginning. Hitler's empire was cracking. But England faced a new nightmare. 1 week after those famous beaches, June 13th brought horror from the sky. The first Vergeltungswaffe 1 smashed into London, the world's first cruise missile. A weapon born from Hitler's rage. Londoners gave it simpler names: the doodlebug, the buzz bomb. This wasn't just a weapon, it was pure malevolent terror. You heard it coming from 10 miles away. That stuttering pulse jet engine, crude and throaty. It throbbed with mechanical hatred. This sound became the backdrop to psychological warfare, unlike anything before. Hearing that engine meant temporary safety. The real horror started when silence fell. Engine cutout meant final dive, nearly a ton of explosives screaming earthward. Those agonizing seconds of quiet before the blast shattered everything. The V-1's power came from its brutal simplicity. No precision here, just chaos incarnate. Launched from French and Dutch coasts, it flew at nearly 400 miles per hour, low altitude, just 2,000 to 3,000 feet up. Allied defenses faced a nightmare, too fast for most fighters to catch, too dangerous to attack safely. Shooting it meant risking your own destruction. The massive warhead could take you with it. Some pilots tried wingtipping, sliding their wing beneath the V-1's wing, tipping it off balance, sending it tumbling away. This required nerves of absolute steel. Ground crews faced even worse odds. Operation Diver threw thousands of guns against the flying bombs, but hitting a small, fast target was mathematical torture. Gunners had to predict future position, set time fuses manually, explode shells at exactly the right moment in precisely the right patch of sky. A fraction of a second off meant failure. The numbers told a brutal story. Early days required 2,500 heavy anti-aircraft shells per V-1 kill. Britain's gunners fought bravely, but mathematics was winning. During the first 2 months, only 17% of V-1s died from gunfire. Of roughly 9,500 launched against England, those getting through killed over 6,000 people. Nearly 18,000 more were injured. Tens of thousands of homes were destroyed or damaged. German high command felt invincible. Their calculations proved effective ground interception was statistically impossible. The reign of terror couldn't be stopped. They were catastrophically wrong. An ocean away, revolution was brewing in American laboratories. Not bigger guns, not faster planes, something far more revolutionary. Every single shell was about to become vastly more intelligent. The answer fit in a coffee mug, a secret weapon ranking alongside radar and atomic bombs. The variable time fuse, VT fuse, a deliberately boring name concealing breathtaking genius. The concept seemed simple. What if shells could sense nearby targets? What if they could detonate themselves automatically? The proximity fuse was anti-aircraft technology's holy grail. British scientists shared early research with America in 1940. The challenge landed with Dr. Merle Tuve's brilliant team at Johns Hopkins University. The problems were monumental. Build a miniature radio transmitter and receiver. Cram it into an artillery shell nose. This delicate package had to survive the most violent event imaginable. Being fired from a cannon subjects components to 20,000 GGs, 20,000 times gravity's force, spinning at thousands of revolutions per minute. The 1940s fragile vacuum tubes were expected to endure this and work perfectly afterward. German experts considered this flatly impossible. Most everyone did. Section T scientists attacked the impossible with relentless creativity. They discovered miniature rugged tubes being developed for hearing aids might work. Sylvania began producing special ruggedized versions. Engineers embedded glass components in potting wax for protection, cushioning them against violent launch forces. Power source presented another huge challenge. How do you create a completely inert battery that provides instant power upon firing? The solution was brilliant engineering. They designed small glass ampules filled with electrolyte. Firing force shattered the vial. Released liquid instantly activated the battery. Shell spin distributed fluid evenly. The miniature radio came alive. The fuse worked like tiny Doppler radar. In flight, it transmitted continuous radio waves. Metal targets like V-1s reflected waves back. As shells closed in, returning wave frequency shifted, like train whistle pitch changing as it passes. When reflected signal reached certain strength, indicating lethal range of about 70 feet, a circuit closed. The shell detonated. No direct hit needed. Near miss became kill. August 1942 brought the first big test aboard USS Cleveland. 3 radio-controlled drones were targets. Testing was scheduled for 2 days. It ended in hours. Cleveland gunners obliterated all 3 drones with just 4 bursts using new VT fuse shells. Navy shock was immediate. They placed massive production orders instantly. Industrial miracle followed. Over 112 companies joined the program. Crossley, RCA, Eastman Kodak, all shrouded in secrecy. By war's end, over 22 million revolutionary devices were produced. Cost exceeded $1 billion. Production ramped up breathtakingly. Late 1943 saw factories churning out 40,000 fuses daily. Peak reached 70,000 per day by war's end. Cost plummeted from staggering $730 per fuse in 1942 to just $18 by 1945. The Allies possessed a war-winning weapon their enemies didn't believe could exist. It was about to be unleashed. While American industry solved the impossible, the Third Reich's scientific and intelligence communities suffered catastrophic imagination failure. German scientists ranked among world's best. They pioneered rocketry and jet aircraft, but proximity fuse expertise became their biggest blind spot. German ordnance experts explored the idea during the 1930s. They investigated acoustic, infrared, and radio-based triggers. They concluded electronic surviving cannon firing was technologically unfeasible. Having declared it impossible, they abandoned research. This decision, born from pragmatic resource management and technological arrogance, would have devastating consequences. V-1 campaign began with high German confidence. Missile speed and size made it virtually immune to anti-aircraft fire. Initial British reports seemed to confirm calculations. Then reports began changing. German intelligence noted bizarre trends. V-1s were being destroyed by explosions clearly not direct hits. Wonder weapons were being swatted from sky. German command was perplexed. First instinct looked for flaws in their own work. Sabotage, manufacturing defects. They explored every possibility except truth, staring them in the face. Intelligence failure became profound here. Germans suspected advanced Allied fuses, but their conviction that rugged radio fuses were impossible acted as intellectual filter. Reality was blocked out. Reports of near-miss kills were dismissed as propaganda or misinterpretation. The idea that Allies had solved the impossible problem and were mass-producing solutions industrially was beyond comprehension. Allied counterintelligence brilliantly exploited this confusion. Using turned German agents in the double-cross system, they fed false information back to Germany. Reports claimed V-1s consistently overshot London targets. Believing their own spies, Germans recalibrated V-1s for shorter distances. They fell on less populated southern suburbs. City center was inadvertently saved from worse devastation. Final brutal proof of Germany's blunder came during Battle of the Bulge, December 1944. Facing desperate situation, Allied command authorized VT fuses in land-based artillery. The effect was apocalyptic. German soldiers taking cover in forests and foxholes were suddenly annihilated by shells exploding directly above them. During fighting, German forces overran American ammunition depot. They captured thousands of proximity-fused shells. Physical evidence was finally in their hands. Too little, too late. Analysis was slow. Shattered production capacity couldn't replicate the technology. Post-war interrogations revealed shock depth. Field Marshal Gerd von Rundstedt later said American artillery with terrifying air-bursting shells was key factor breaking his offensive. He called it devastating. This was admission of defeat. Not just battlefield defeat. Defeat in the secret technology war. This staggering oversight shows how assumptions lead to disaster. How industrial might and scientific innovation, when kept secret, become the most decisive weapons. Now let's return to skies over England. The impossible was about to become devastating reality for the V-1. By late summer 1944, V-1 offensive reached terrifying peak. General Frederick Pyle commanded Britain's anti-aircraft defenses. He made a critical decision. He ordered massive redeployment. Over 1,000 heavy guns moved out of London suburbs. Dense, layered defense belt formed along southeast coast. This created clear killing zone for gunners. New deployment coincided with two other revolutionary American technologies. These would work in perfect deadly harmony with proximity fuses. First was SCR-584 radar. This system could automatically track targets with incredible precision. Second was M9 Gun Director, an electrical analog computer from Bell Labs. The M9 took radar data, calculated V-1 speed and trajectory, automatically aimed guns. Gun crews just loaded shells. This system was already formidable, firing shells with timed fuses. The final puzzle piece would turn the system from effective to overwhelmingly lethal: the VT fuse. Mid-July brought General Pyle clearance to use top-secret American shells against V-1s. Results were immediate and spectacular. The great bug shoot was on. Statistics tell the story of completely reversed battle. June, before fuses arrived, guns accounted for only 17% of V-1s shot down. By August end, with full system in place, that number soared. During the last 4 weeks of campaign against London, coastal gun batteries achieved astonishing 79% success rate. Shells required per kill plummeted from thousands to around 100. Single-day statistics show this new dominance. August 28, 1944. Of V-1s fired toward London, incredible 68 were blown from sky by coastal guns alone. Another 14 fell to RAF fighters. Only 4 reached London. Interception rate climbed from meager 17% to over 82% on this peak day. German commanders found the numbers nonsensical. Their wonder weapon was being defeated. They had no idea how. Psychological effect was immense. In London, terrifying drone of doodlebugs began fading. Distant fireballs over the channel became reassuring sights. Constant fear gripping the city began lifting. Victory came not by brute force, but by symphony of secret technologies. System of systems the enemy couldn't see, understand, or counter. September 1944 ended the V-1 threat to London effectively. Allied ground forces overran French launch sites. Germans shifted focus. Thousands more launched from aircraft and Netherlands sites, primarily targeting vital Antwerp port in Belgium. Secret weapon waited there too. Same combination of radar, directors, and proximity fuse shells deployed to defend the port. Similarly devastating results followed. Allied supply lines were preserved for final push into Germany. Only after Germany's 1945 surrender did the full story emerge. During interrogations, Allied officers finally revealed VT fuse secrets to captured German counterparts. Reaction was universal. Utter astonishment. They learned they'd been comprehensively defeated by weapon their experts deemed scientific fantasy. Proximity fuse legacy extended far beyond V-1. Battle of the Bulge use proved its terrifying effectiveness as anti-personnel weapon. Land warfare changed forever. General George S. Patton himself wrote the funny fuse won the Battle of the Bulge for us. In Pacific theater, it provided crucial defense against Japanese aircraft, especially desperate kamikaze attacks. U.S. Navy found it several times more effective against aircraft than conventional timed fuses. Technology itself became cornerstone of post-war military development. Principles pioneered in that tiny shell are direct ancestors of virtually all modern guided missile technology. Every surface-to-air missile owes debt to Merle Tuvey's team. Every air-to-air missile using radar to close with targets traces back to this work. Basic proximity detection idea found its way into daily life. Automatic doors, car safety sensors. The V-1 and VT fuse story transcends technology tales. It starkly illustrates fundamental modern war truth. War wasn't won by battlefield courage alone. It was won in laboratories, on assembly lines, in shadowed intelligence and counterintelligence worlds. Won by democracy's ability to innovate and mass-produce innovation on scales enemies couldn't match or comprehend. Battle against V-1 flying bomb was war within war. Terrifying new weapon born from desperate vengeance thirst faced secret defense bordering on magic. Outcome wasn't decided by visible audible weapon, that sputtering doodlebug. It was decided by invisible one. Proximity fuse, tiny radio brain packed into artillery shell nose, game changer. Success was twofold. Triumph of scientific ingenuity, solving supposedly unsolvable problems. Masterpiece of industrial might. Device produced on scale overwhelming any threat. At its heart, this story concerns colossal intelligence failure. Fatal trap of technological arrogance. Confident in their genius, German scientists declared proximity fuse impossible. That single conviction blinded entire intelligence apparatus. Mounting evidence was dismissed. They weren't defeated by better weapon alone. They were defeated by refusal to believe such weapon could exist. Powerful reminder that war's deadliest weapon isn't always biggest or loudest. Sometimes it's the secret hiding in plain sight. Revolutionary idea your enemy grasped while you did not. The nights were worst for millions. Lying in darkness, not listening for silence but for sound. Wretched sputtering growl growing louder. As long as you heard that demonic throbbing roar, safety remained. Still flying, going to pass over. But engine cutout brought most terrifying sound in world. Bottomless, empty quiet where heartbeat hammered in chest. Counting seconds. Praying it wasn't your turn. Praying blast would be far away. That was reality for millions. Until American ingenuity, industrial might, and democratic innovation changed everything. The impossible became possible. Terror from sky was conquered by invisible guardian angels packed with radio brains and democratic determination.